Level 1. You buy a dead page. You sit beside the only wall socket in the cheap co-working space. Against the co-working wall, you feed the frayed charger into the cracked phone. You place the old bank card beside the paper coffee cup. In the hashtag notebook, you read $500 personal capital beside the old bank card. You open the dented laptop beside the cracked phone. On the dented laptop screen, you compare $50,000 yearly micro-page resale market with the abandoned Instagram account. You keep the cracked phone plugged in because the charge line drops during every scroll. At the student cafe, you face the broke student across a paper coffee cup. You slide the cracked phone closer across the student cafe table. You push the SIM card into the cracked phone. Beside the paper coffee cup, you keep the old bank card flat under your palm. You open the abandoned Instagram account on the cracked phone. On the cracked phone screen, you read 12,000 followers beside the last post. You hold your thumb on the last post because the page still looks frozen. In the student cafe, you scroll comments under the abandoned post. You mark real-looking avatars in the hashtag notebook. Beside the avatar notes, you cross out comment rows that look empty. You turn the cracked phone face down while the broke student asks for more money. At the bus stop, you open the hashtag notebook on your knees. You trace the real-looking avatars from the student cafe notes. You cross out dead hashtags in the hashtag notebook. Beside the bus stop bench, you compare the crossed-out tags with the abandoned post. You keep the cracked phone in your hand instead of checking the banking app. On the cracked phone screen, you open the old product post again. You study the old product post until the bad angle becomes the first repair. At the self-service photo studio, you unfold the ring light. You clamp the cracked phone under the ring light. You place the old product post on the cracked phone screen. Against the clean white wall, you reshoot the old product post. You adjust the ring light because the old post still looks cheap. Inside the self-service photo studio, you compare the reshoot with the abandoned Instagram feed. You pick the cleaner frame from the cracked phone screen. You pack the ring light without looking at the broke student's message. Back in the rental apartment kitchen, you set the paper coffee cup beside the cracked phone. You plug the frayed charger into the kitchen wall socket. At the kitchen table, you open the hashtag notebook beside the dented laptop. You copy the crossed-out tags into the abandoned post draft. You place the ring light against the kitchen wall. Beside the dented laptop, you check the revived caption against the hashtag notebook. You publish the first revived post from the rental apartment kitchen at night. On the cracked phone screen, you refresh the analytics with one thumb swipe. You read the follower count again on the cracked phone because the page finally moves. Beside cold coffee, you keep the old bank card under the paper cup. You understand the first asset is still a repair job in your hands. You set the cracked phone face up beside the cold coffee. Level 2. You build an account network. You collect the plastic prop bin from the parcel pickup point. Against the parcel pickup point counter, you open the paper content calendar. You read $5,000 in accounts on the paper content calendar. You carry the plastic prop bin toward the rental photo studio. At the rental photo studio, you lower the plastic prop bin onto the floor. You pull the ring light from the plastic prop bin. You spread the cheap backdrop across the rental photo studio floor. Near the cheap backdrop, you place product samples from the plastic prop bin. You set 2 phones beside the product samples. On the paper content calendar, you match each phone with a page slot. You stick account logins onto the backs of 2 phones. Beside the login stickers, you check each account name before the first shoot. You shoot 5 short videos back-to-back on both phones. You swap props inside the frame without turning off the ring light. Beside the cheap backdrop, you keep the clip-on microphone pointed toward the product samples. You check each phone because one screen dims before the last clip. You plug the dying phone into the power bank. At the business center elevator, you drag the ring light toward the doors. You balance the plastic prop bin against your chest. Inside the business center elevator, you stand with the ring light and the plastic prop bin. You keep the plastic prop bin stacked to your chin. At the food court, you place the bought meal beside the paper content calendar. You pull the two phones from the plastic prop bin. On the paper content calendar, you read, $250,000 yearly niche page market. You leave the food court meal closed and return to the feeds. With the power bank on the table, you check the next upload slot. You rip yesterday's slot off the paper content calendar. Beside the food court table, you set product samples into new posting order. You keep the clip-on microphone wrapped beside the phones. At the creator's apartment hallway, you place the plastic prop bin against the wall. You hand the clip-on microphone toward the creator's doorframe. You keep the two phones labeled with login stickers. Outside the creator's apartment hallway, you shoot the next batch against the cheap backdrop. You swap product samples inside the frame until each account gets a different hook. Beside the apartment hallway wall, you check the login stickers before posting. You pack the product samples back into the plastic prop bin. At the window desk in your apartment, you roll the cheap backdrop across the floor. You set the two phones beside the paper content calendar. On the window desk, you compare the revived page with the 3 new pages. You move clips across the phones until every account has a slot. By the window desk, you keep the ring light folded beside the prop bin. You understand the network grows only when your route keeps moving. You carry the plastic prop bin to the next creator's apartment hallway. Level 3. You catch fake audience. You meet the seller beside the registration desk in the hotel lobby at a creator meetup. Beside the registration desk, you keep the creator meetup wristband around your wrist. You take the seller's phone and tilt the screen away from glare. On the seller's phone, you read the beautiful follower count without trusting the follower count. You hold the printed analytics sheet against the hotel lobby table. On the printed analytics sheet, you read $25,000 portfolio. You compare audience geography against the due diligence checklist. At the quiet cafe corner, you place the glass of water beside the printed analytics sheet. You circle the sudden follower spike with red marker. You press the red marker harder because the spike rises too cleanly. On the laptop with post table, you compare saves across 3 posts. You open comments on the seller's phone. Inside the quiet cafe corner, you pause on repeated emoji patterns. You mark the repeated emoji patterns on the due diligence checklist. Beside the glass of water, you place the red marker across the printed analytics sheet. You read the audience geography again before touching the seller's phone. At the co-working meeting room, you spread the printed analytics sheet beside the laptop. You press the screen magnifier over the tiny reach line. On the printed analytics sheet, you compare the reach line with the follower spike. You turn the seller's phone sideways to test the comment scroll. Across the co-working meeting room table, you keep the seller's phone in your hand. You read the follower spike again through the screen magnifier. You stop the inspection only when saves, comments, and geography disagree. At the conference hall corridor, you hold the due diligence checklist against the wall. You read $1 million yearly account flipping market on the printed analytics sheet. You flip the printed analytics sheet face down. Against the conference hall corridor wall, you pocket the red marker. You keep the old bank card inside your pocket. At the hotel parking lot, you return the seller's phone. You hold the Creator Meetup wristband instead of reaching for the bank card. You pull off the Creator Meetup wristband. Beside the hotel parking lot curb, you fold the due diligence checklist around the printed analytics sheet. You understand a clean chart can hide a dead crowd. You leave the printed analytics sheet face down between you and the seller. Level 4. You train people to fix attention. You meet the junior operator on the business center staircase. On the business center staircase, you hand the junior operator the laminated pre-purchase content checklist. You lead the junior operator into the small, unmarked office. Inside the small, unmarked office, you clip the laminated checklist onto the whiteboard. You place the tablet with account feed below the laminated checklist. On the laminated checklist, you read $80,000 in media assets. You stop the junior operator's finger above a weak opening frame. Beside the whiteboard, you point the marker at the first frame. You show the retention drop after the first second on the tablet. At the whiteboard meeting room, you place colored stickers beside the printed post stack. You make the junior operator sort printed posts by engagement strength. You keep the mouse untouched while the junior operator moves the post stack. On the tablet, you compare the weak hook with the stronger post. You start the timer for one account audit. Beside the timer, you keep the laminated checklist facing the junior operator. You mark the audit limit with the marker on the whiteboard. Inside the vertical video studio, you adjust the tripod before the reshoot. You place the tablet with account feed under the tripod. You demonstrate the reshoot by framing the opening shot. Against the tripod, you keep the laminated checklist visible. You reset the timer for a second audit without taking over the feed. At the editing room corridor, you hand headphones to the junior operator. You wait while the junior operator replays the first second. On the tablet, you trace the retention drop after the first second. You nod when the junior operator finds fake comments by himself. In the office kitchen, you set the laminated checklist beside the tablet. You read $5 million yearly Mitch network market on the tablet. You keep the old rescue spreadsheet closed by leaving the tablet on the feed. At the business center staircase, you hand the marker back to the junior operator. You make the junior operator lead the next audit from the checklist. Inside the small, unmarked office, you stand away from the mouse. You understand the work has become a method, not just your thumb. You leave the laminated checklist clipped onto the whiteboard. Level 5. You buy pages like businesses. You arrive in the studio parking lot. At the studio parking lot, you open the phone with Demo Analytics. You read $250,000 under management on the phone with Demo Analytics. You walk past the studio microphone into the seller's podcast studio. Inside the seller's podcast studio, you place the seller media kit beside the calculator. You set the water bottle away from the valuation card. On the handwritten valuation multiple card, you write the first multiple. You turn the phone with Demo Analytics toward the major niche page owner. Beside the studio microphone, you tap the black pen against the repeat viewer line. You read the repeat viewer line on the phone with Demo Analytics. At the green room, you hold the seller media kit open. You compare the media kit audience claims with the repeat viewer line. On the seller media kit, you read $20 million yearly creator M&A market. You close the seller media kit and return to the valuation card. Inside the studio meeting room, you slide the valuation card to the middle of the table. You keep the calculator beside the valuation card. When the major niche page owner names a fantasy price, you move the water bottle aside. You cross out the first multiple on the valuation card. Below the crossed out multiple, you write a lower multiple. You tap the black pen against the lower multiple. Beside the calculator, you compare the lower multiple with the Demo Analytics. You keep the seller media kit closed while the owner keeps talking. In the soundproof hallway, you hold the valuation card outside the podcast room. You stand with the phone with Demo Analytics still open. You keep the contract folder unopened by leaving only the card on top. At the coffee shop across the street, you place the valuation card beside the water bottle. You compare the lower multiple with the repeat viewer line on the phone. You stand up before the major niche page owner agrees. Back in the studio parking lot, you hold the valuation card without changing the number. You understand audience becomes a business only when repeat viewers support the price. You leave the crossed-out valuation card beside the studio microphone. Level 6. You hire account hunters. You meet the candidate at Business Center reception. At Business Center reception, you give the candidate an interview badge. You walk the candidate past the corridor with portfolio logos. Beside the portfolio logos, you carry the candidate folder under your arm. You open the candidate folder on the case table. Inside the fund office, you spread 3 printed account sheets. On the first printed account sheet, you read $1 million portfolio. you push the phone with the test page toward the candidate. At the case interview room, you watch the candidate search for bots in comments. You keep the marker beside the candidate folder. On the phone with test page, you follow the candidate's comment scan. You ask the candidate to choose one account from 3 printed sheets. Beside the case table, you place the team roll cards in a row. You remove the growth operator roll card from a weak candidate. You keep the interview badge away from the weak candidate's folder. At the portfolio brand studio, you lead the strong candidate toward a live product shoot. You show the strong candidate the live product shoot without explaining the shoot. On the phone with test page, you make the strong candidate mark the bot pattern. You place the marker beside the strong candidate's printed account sheet. At the office terrace, you open the candidate folder against the espresso cup. You read, $75 million in creator funds on the candidate folder. You compare the candidate's account choice with the team roll cards. Beside the espresso cup, you leave the growth operator roll card inside reach. Back in the case interview room, you leave the interview badge on the strong candidate's side. You close the candidate folder only after the test page stays open. Inside the fund office, you stand back from the phone with test page. You understand account hunting has to happen without your hands on the screen. You keep the candidate folder open beside the phone showing the test page. Level 7. You turn audience into products. You greet a DTC founder at the event entrance. At the event entrance, you fasten an event wristband around the DTC founder's wrist. You open the guest list tablet in front of the event entrance. On the guest list tablet, you read $5 million under management. You lead guests toward the portfolio product display case. Inside the portfolio brand showroom, you place brand cards beside packaging samples. You hold a packaging sample in front of the product display case. At the demo booth, you scan the QR code on the packaging. You reveal the live funnel on the demo phone. On the demo phone, you compare the live funnel with the product display case. You lift a packaging sample in front of the investor group. Beside the demo booth, you gesture for the creator founder to join. You angle the demo phone toward the product display case. In the packaging warehouse, you direct the brand team toward packaging samples. You keep your hands off the boxes by pointing to the samples. At the founder lounge, you walk past page owners with the guest list tablet. You nod to page owners without handing out business cards. You place water glasses beside the brand cards. Beside the water glasses, you keep the guest badges lined toward the showroom route. In the business space courtyard, you close the guest list tablet after the final arrival. You read, $300 million yearly creator commerce market on the closed guest list tablet screen. At the portfolio brand showroom, you reopen the demo phone near the display case. You compare live sales on the demo phone with the packaging sample in your hand. Beside the product display case, you hold the packaging sample higher. You understand advertisers now enter through products built from your audiences. You hold a product in front of the display case while the demo phone shows live sales. Level 8. You open a creator asset exchange. You walk up to the turnstile entrance of the private creator exchange hall. At the turnstile entrance, you press the metal access key against the scanner. You pass first through the open turnstile. Inside the private creator exchange hall, you keep the metal access key in your hand. You raise your hand, and the team activates the live deal wall. On the live deal wall, you read $25 million ecosystem value. You lead funds into the creator booth aisle. In the creator booth aisle, you hold fund badges toward the booths. You guide creator badges toward the fund VIP zone. At the fund VIP zone, you stop with the metal access key still in your hand. You fasten the first access wristband onto a major channel owner. You guide the major channel owner toward the creator booth aisle. Beside the sold account display case, you grip the red cover. You remove the red cover from the sold account display case. On the live deal wall, you read $1 billion yearly creator liquidity market. You compare the sold account display case with the live deal wall. At the opening stage, you place the metal access key in your palm. You strike the market opening bell. You step back from the stage as creators walk toward funds on their own. You keep your hands free of product, tripod, and box. Inside the private creator exchange hall, you watch the live deal wall without a phone in your hand. You understand access has replaced repair as the work people come to buy. Beneath the live deal wall, you stand with the metal access key while channel owners pass toward investors.